I'm Miss Complexities, and I'm a mental health advocate. I do a podcast called the Complexities Podcast. You can find it on all the major platforms. Not really doing it anymore. I should say I did a podcast. I also do these vlogs, mostly about my recovery from complex PTSD and my eating disorder. And yeah, I think I've gotten lazy in my recovery. So it's been 3 years since my latest stint in the eating disorder clinic. So that would put it at 5 years or 6 years. I don't know. But it's been a while. I've been doing this for, like 6 years. And by this, I mean my recovery. And I think I've gotten to a point where I've made a lot of progress and my life is substantially better in so many ways, and I'm functioning at a higher level. I'm not constantly triggered all the time. I can go out in public, I can stand large crowds. I'm eating, maintaining my weight. So when I initially started my recovery, when I was 25, it was because I was dying, because I couldn't live the way that I was living then. I was starving myself. I couldn't get motivated during the day to life. I couldn't be a person. And I'm not there anymore, thankfully. And due to a lot of great therapy and hard work, I am a person. I can function. I can maintain my weight. I can mother my children. And I can be motivated most of the time to life. And I think that has led me to complacency, because it's really easy to not work on yourself. It's really easy to not heal, because healing's hard and healing sucks, and having to confront the shit that is painful and broken. You know what? We're gonna turn the car studio off real quick. I guess we'll turn this light on in the car studio so that I don't look so dark. Welcome to the new Complexities studio that is my car. If you want to know why I'm doing this in my car, you can check out the podcast, which I lost the podcasting studio in the divorce. So you can hear all about that at Complexities Podcast. Final episode. It's a doozy. Complacency and recovery. So I think I've just hit a new plateau, and it was really easy to walk across the plateau and just be like, okay, I'm mostly thriving, a little bit surviving, I'm kind of in this ground that wasn't as horrible as before. I know it could be better, but here we are. So I'm making this video to hold myself accountable publicly, because honestly, that's what it takes sometimes. At least for me, I need to be held accountable. And what better way to do it than publicly on my vlog? So what I want to do is I want to get into a routine. And I don't know about you guys, but for me, before I got married and had children, so 10, 11 years ago, I had a routine. And it was probably the only thing that got me through my life at that point in time. Before I got married and had kids, I was really depressed, drunk, and I just couldn't. All I could do was go to work and come home and sleep. I was very unhappy and not thriving at all, just barely surviving. And I think it was because I had a routine. Every day I went to work, every day I came home, the work was the same, the drinking was the same, the food was the same, everything was very structured, and that's what kept me going. And after getting married and having kids and traveling around with the Navy, and I never got into structure again. I never got into a routine again. And I know that when I was in the mental hospital the 2 times for my eating disorder, they talked a lot about an eating structure, an eating routine, and like how important it is. But for some reason, I've just never ever been able to reinsert routine into my life. And I think part of me didn't want to, because part of me was like, oh, that's what you need. That's going to be really helpful. And I don't know about you guys, but my trauma brain doesn't really like to do things that it knows are going to be healthy. Like, if I'm like, oh, I need to be doing this because it's going to be super healthy, I get a lot of pushback from my trauma brain because it doesn't want to heal. It wants to stay the same. It doesn't want to change. So I'm coming to this point where I just don't know what the next step is. And for me, I think I need to really work on restructuring. I don't know. I need to work on putting a structure back into my life and a routine, which I think now I can do, which is going to be hard because in a month the kids are going to go back to school and it's going to change a bit. But I mean, like, I'm going to eat it this time. I'm going to fucking put the pen to the paper and do the journaling and the self-reflection. I'm going to do the meditation or the shamanic journey work every day or this many times a week. I have to literally sit down and make a plan, a map of my life and stick to it, because I feel like once I do that, so much is going to be like, I feel like for me, with my conditioning and trauma brain, it's so easy for me to just get into go mode. It's so easy to just get in survive flight mode, I guess is what you call it, when you're just go, go, go. I have to run. I have to. And what I've found is that I'm constantly running from myself. I'm running from my feelings, my thoughts, my history. You know, I'm always running. And with going through divorce and literally rebuilding my life after a decade of it being wife, mother, married, house of 4 to just me, I have the kids during the day, but then in the evenings I have work and then time to myself. And I really have to dive into that change, I feel like, and I have to embrace that change and not just continue racing through every day. And like I said, what stops me from racing, or what pushes me to race every day, is that I don't want to do that introspection. And structure forces me to be introspective for some reason. Having the structure to stop and say, okay, well, it's 9 o'clock, I'm going to do this. And I don't know, it's like trauma brain for me loves chaos, and I don't need the chaos anymore because I'm not in a survival situation. And the chaos is what, my trauma brain likes to feed off of chaos. It likes to create chaos. And if it can't create it in my life, then it likes to create it in my head, so that I can constantly be feeling like I need to be in a survival mode when I know I don't need to be in survival mode. So I think that putting structure and creating routine is going to be the next step in my recovery. And I think I'm going to have a lot of pushback from my trauma brain. But I think once I can implore that and do it the right way, employ that? You guys should really watch the podcast because I fuck my words up all the time and it's great. So yeah, publicly holding myself accountable. This week it's Tuesday, so it's a short week. But my goal for this week and structure is I'm going to set a time every day that I'm going to start journaling in the morning with the kids and with myself. It's going to be our morning activity. First thing, we get up, we eat breakfast, and we do morning journal. And then I want to try in the evenings, or at least the evenings that I don't go straight to work, to have meditation time. So I will be back next week with a video about how hard I fuck this up. I mean, about how successful I am.